What's good, LBK? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 129 of the FocusLBK Show. This is your host, Robert Jenkins, and all this week, man, bottom line up front, the show is going to be about service. All this week, I've been thinking about what is service? And some of the things that occurred to me while I was doing my investigations, it was like, what if a big part of service is the manner in which we go about serving? What if on a deeper level, the vibe or the attitude that we have while serving is an even bigger part? What if the reason and the attitude that we have while we're serving is what mostly counts? Anyway, I'll tell you how I reached those thoughts later on in the show.
Get ready for news and views from Lubbock, Texas, USA. What's going on and real talk with people who move and do things. This is the FocusLBK Show with your host, Robert Jenkins.
All right, so we coming back now. As I mentioned, today's show is going to be about service. And the reason I started thinking about this is my little brother, Jonathan, had a birthday this past weekend. And we all did a little surprise birthday party type thing at his house. My little brother, Jason, organized, and that was real cool. But one of the special parts about that little get together for my brother's birthday is that Pops came out, my dad. Our dad was there chilling with all of us, you know what I'm saying? So that's special because he don't always come out to every little get together, but you know, he do come to the important stuff. So anyway, while dad was there, man, we had already been there for a while when they got there. So I say, man, after a while, we're going to have to leave. So, cause it was like 9:30. We had been there since like 5:30. Anyway, as we was walking out, me and my pops we began what seemed like it was going to be a great conversation. And we were talking about what it means to serve. Really, in a general sense, what it means to serve, but in a specific sense, what does it mean to serve God? And he had asked me what I thought, and I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to say, but I was getting ready to say something. And then magically, we was interrupted by somebody at the back of the party back there. Somebody said, "Hey, y'all come on back here and do some karaoke or something like that." And I say, so it kind of cut that train of thought off and it interrupted the moment a little bit. And that's a very interesting interruption. It might have been a good thing. I don't know, a synchronicity. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was a moment for me to pause and reflect, because what it did was made me start thinking about what does it mean to serve. So while I was doing my research, I had another little synchronicity, a magical confluence of events is what it is. A synchronicity. And I came across this article. It's on Substack, Radically Genuine, by I think his name is Dr. Roger Mcfillin. He's a psychiatrist. And one of the article that he had up there was about love as service. Your essence is your offering, is what he was saying. And to quote some more from his article to show y'all where my mind was going, I quote this. He say, "How much of what we call service is actually fear, wearing a mask, fear of judgment if we don't help, fear of guilt if we say no, fear of what other people will think about us, obligation masquerading as generosity. The action looks identical from the outside, so you can't tell what somebody's attitude or thought process is from the outside. The frequency, on the other hand," he says, "could not be more different." And I was like, man, that's pretty deep. He goes on to say that most of us think of service as what we do, the job we perform, the help we offer, the roles we fill, like nurse, teacher, mother, father, doctor, filmmaker, videographer, son, whatever. Roles we fill. He says that we measure service by actions completed, hours logged, and tasks accomplished. And he was saying that if you pay attention to that message earlier on about what if love is a frequency, he said, what if your frequency is your service? What if your essence is what you offer? He's basically asking, like, saying that the vibration that we carry as we move through the world, that itself is the service that we render to creation, regardless of your job title or to-do list. Now, those are, that's his thoughts on the subject. Now, of course, as I was reading that, I say, man, that's really kind of an interesting reframe of the way I was looking at it. And I thought, well, let me see what the words say. Let me see what the Bible say about it. And the first thing that occurred to my mind before I even opened the Bible, the verse about being a cheerful giver came into my mind. And not that we're talking about money here. I think that I looked it up, and that verse is 2 Corinthians 9, 6-7. It say, the cheerful giver. The point is this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. That's the part right there. Verse 7. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. That's something to think about. Now, of course, when I was looking at that, I was thinking giving. When they keep talking about giving like that, to me, it sounds like they talking about gifts. Because when you give somebody something, that's a gift, right? To me, basically, giving signifies gift, or being given something signifies a gift. And that's what this next verse I found when I was thinking about this, say 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. So maybe I was thinking, reading that, I'm going to read it again. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. And that, when I saw that, of course, I started thinking, well, maybe putting all that stuff together, letting it mix in the pot like gumbo, like Ice Cube say, maybe serving God, a good working definition, I guess, could be cheerfully giving of yourself in ways that echo your belief that you have been blessed with something worth giving. Yeah, that's the thought. That's the bottom line that I came to. Maybe serving is when you cheerfully give of yourself in ways that echo your belief that you have been blessed with something worth giving to somebody else. Now, when I say that, I know some people out there might think, well, man, I ain't really got nothing of value worth giving, because you think about money and material things. Or you might be trivializing your actual gifts that you have received. I'm going to tell you about one of the most valuable gifts that we all have is time. I would say time is the most valuable thing that we each have, because none of us know how much more time we actually have left. How would you act if you realized that you only had 12 hours of air left on a ship and you was on a big ship with a bunch of people you knew? How would you act if you realized the ship was about to sink in 8 minutes? There's no possibility of being saved. If you knew how much time you have left, what would you do? How would you be? Right? That's why I say time is the most valuable thing, because we don't know how much we have left. We might not have another minute. I might not have another minute. I pray that I have many millions and billions more minutes left over. I'm saying that because I don't know how many minutes you need in about 20 or 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 40. I'm going to say 40 years. That'll put me at 40. That's cool. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to digress. The point is, I would like to have a lot more. Everybody would like to have a lot more time. And you don't know how much you're going to get. So time is the most valuable thing that you can give. Maybe. One of them. Anyway. So when you think about it like that, the thought begins to form in my mind is like, well, perhaps the meaning of service or serving God is when we cheerfully give our time, our attention, and our focus, LBK, not just as a duty, but as a pleasurable way of sharing that which God has given us. Occurs to me that might be a pretty good definition of serving God. In other words, that's what we really talking about, serving God. Yeah. That's, one of the things that the reason I guess I've been thinking about this, I guess, is because I'm trying to figure out, how do I serve God? That's why I've been thinking about this a lot. The bottom line is I want to know what I'm supposed to do. And this is why I came to this conclusion that maybe you to cheerfully share that which God has given me. Well, one of the things that God has given me is the ability to operate cameras, the ability to read and digest information, and the ability to speak well. So when you put all that stuff together, maybe that's part of my way of serving. All those things may be a part of my way of serving. So you have to do that for yourself. You have to look at what God has given you. In other words, look at your talents, your talent stack, your knowledge, skills, and abilities, your KSAs. You got to look at all that. Figure out what you can do. Know what you can do. Know what you're good at. Strive to always get better at it, and do it in a way that recognizes that all that stuff that you have, all that ability, all those powers, those are gifts, talents. Y'all know the parable of the talent. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. So that's what I've been thinking about this week. Yeah, serving God. What is a good way to serve God? How do you serve? You say you go to church and you're a Christian. How do you serve? I think you serve by giving cheerfully of those things which God is giving you. That's the bottom line that I've kind of hit on. And like I say, the first thing is time. So that's something to chew on, I guess. But speaking of time, LBK, I done already expressed a complete thought here, and I don't want to keep beating around the bush. So I think I might as well bid you 2 digits, because it don't take no more than about 20 minutes to get somewhere in Lubbock, and we done used up, I don't know, about 10 or 12 of those right about now. Yeah. All right then. Y'all take it easy, okay? I'll catch y'all next week. Peace.